am Stonewall enjoys this well described. From here, I get a sweep of the whole
Peace, Daryl.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
The Functional Human Podcast with
Daryl and Jay.
There we go.
I don't know if I should say Daryl.
Well, you've had multiple names on the bottom of the screen over the years, I've noticed. Originally, I think when we started, you were Daryl Marie. Then for a while, you were just D. And now you're back to Daryl Bouchard. So I think it's...
all of them. Yeah.
And I mean, look at me. I'm just like, Jay. It's just so boring. What do you want?
He's wearing blue today, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, one of us has to be the exciting one. It's definitely not me, even though I'm wearing blue. Even though I'm wearing blue. It's in honor of you. It's your favorite color. And what is up with the sirens in Canada, Daryl?
Shit's on fire everywhere.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah. Well, all right.
I live downtown. It's pretty common.
Yeah. So we promised, if you haven't gone back and listened to last week, we're setting the stage for an article this week that is called, I should probably bring up the article. That would probably be very helpful. The article is called The Plot to Get RFK. It's written by James Lyons Wheeler from he's not from the Brownstone Institute, but the Brownstone Institute put out the article, and it's really a good one, and it really highlights so we started talking last week about what RFK is up against. And, maybe we can start off real quick just by talking a little bit about this thing, because this is what set me off on this path. Because I think, Daryl, you sent me, maybe it was like 2 weeks ago, you sent me a clip of somebody that I wasn't familiar with, but it was when RFK made this comment about wearables. And everybody had a meltdown. And this, again, goes back to last week. If you want to hear my rant on, Daryl heard it much more off camera. But if the problem that I'm having is that I feel like we're finally moving forward. And while we're not moving as fast as anybody wants to, if we could, any of us could wave a magic wand, we would fix what we think is wrong with health, nutrition, everything, right? We would do that. But that's not... that's a kindergarten mindset. We don't live in that world. So I'm just frustrated with the fact that it feels like a lot of influencers are working against progress because the progress isn't either one, as quick as they want, or in the exact precise direction that they want. And it's like, there's a million things to fix. So if we're fixing, a whole bunch of them, but other things are getting left behind just temporarily. Remember there was a time where they were saying RFK is not doing anything about vaccines. And it's like, now we have a whole episode 6 months in to the Trump administration on how many things are changing with vaccines.
It's like when Lane was upset about, he was saying, great, we have red dye number 40 gone. What about all the other ones? It's like,
right.
Fuck.
Oh God, man. It drives me crazy. Because it shows that these people are out there just for clicks, or they don't understand how it works. And I admitted last week, Daryl, you and I don't understand fully how it works, but we respect the process, and we respect what we don't know, and can give people grace in knowing that this is probably so much harder than anything that you or me or Lane has ever done, trying to change the machine of healthcare in this country, and therefore on this planet.
And with still opposing members, right?
Yes. So I don't know. I mean, I feel weird being put into the position of defending politicians, because that's not usually where I am, but I call it as I see it. And I'm just trying to do the right thing. And I feel like I'm being sincere and honest to my principles by saying, look, if somebody does something that I think is wrong, I'll call them out on it. But if I also don't think that it's fair to judge somebody based on a very limited sample size, I'm going to say that too. And I don't care if people don't like that, or if it doesn't, so the wearables thing, maybe RFK misspoke a little bit. Maybe I don't think he ever meant And there's no indication that he means every person in America must own a wearable, mandatory. It's got to be like implanted in your brain so that we can track everything you're doing. Like that's where people took it. And what I'm thinking of is like CGMs and things that I've worn that can actually really provide important data on your health. And is there a downside to if the data is shared with, third parties? Yes, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But should we just throw out the baby with the bathwater? And I'm saying, no, maybe there's a way to do this. And maybe that's what he was thinking. I don't know, but I didn't feel like jumping down his throat for that because I just wasn't particularly, I just thought there were more important things. That's all. So
and it's because we live in a world where people grab information and use it for maluse that people jumped on that, but maybe that's not the intent here. Maybe.
Right.
Maybe not.
Hey, if he came out and said, yes, we're going to implant these into every brain of every diabetic so that we can, I'd be like, okay, no, we're not doing that, right? Like I will be the first one in line to say no. Yeah. So I just want to, and maybe it seems like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because ironically, we did that whole episode on Casey Means and she happens to own a company that provides wearables. So people could and have said, well, maybe he's just like, cozying up to her and she's making all this money. And now there's this whole maybe. And if it is, I'll call that bullshit right out.
I haven't heard anything about her lately.
No, I don't think she's been confirmed yet.
It's been a long time.
This is what I'm saying, right? Like we don't even have the full team in place yet. So I don't know. I'm just, Daryl, you and I try to like really be meticulous about our thinking and the way we go about this, and we'll make mistakes, but we'll always come back and say, hey, we're rethinking this. Daryl and I, we've told you this before. We've had multiple conversations, even about things like GLP-1s. Like we are really honestly trying to just tell the truth about things and not be so, like Daryl always says this, stop identifying with your point of view. So, you're not the thing. I wouldn't even
call it a mistake, Jay. I would just say, we're learning. We're learning together. You can change. I don't think the same that I did when I was 5, still like bugs, but
I do, but
I still like bugs. I used to play with bugs.
I know. And you used to put them in a jar and bring them to your mom, right?
Yeah,
that's nice. That's nice. You never bring me bugs, Daryl. Okay. So that's the stage has been set. Rant over. Let's get into this article. It's never over. Who am I kidding? All right, here we go. The plot to get RFK. I feel like we're watching a movie. Sit back, get your popcorn.
Healthy popcorn.
Obviously. The plot to get RFK by James Lyon Wheeler.
Oh, you can listen to this article.
You can. Yeah.
That would alleviate you reading it.
It would, but I'm gonna anyway.
Oh, okay. Kind of help.
Because I want to know. Because actually, and Daryl, so when I'm sharing screen and I'm reading, I actually don't have our screen in front of me, so I'm not looking at you. I'm just looking at the article. So if you want to jump in, just jump right in. If you have any, we'll go through the whole thing because it's not super long, but I want you to jump right in. Okay.
Okay.
So. This is an apparent leaked minutes document suggests that a trade association held a meeting in April to undo the confirmation of Kennedy by the duly elected U.S. Senate. It is embedded below. And the hearings for RFK's confirmation were in April. I remember Daryl and I were talking about this. I was sending her clips of it, and she's like, I feel like I just watched this. And I was like, yeah, that's because they're all the same. Because Bernie Sanders is the same as all the other ones. And they ask the same questions.
Yeah.
But this was going on during that confirmation time, just so you guys can set the stage, because everybody remembers that time period when he was being confirmed. If you were paying attention, this is when this meeting happened, and somebody apparently leaked these documents. And now we're going to read, not the documents themselves, but we're going to read, and the documents are here, and I'll link them if you want to actually read the document, but we're going to read the assessment of the documents. So on the eve before the U.S. Senate reconvenes, a detailed secret trade association memo plotted the removal of U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has leaked. It reads like a coup attempt against regulatory reform, and they are spending millions to make sure Kennedy is out of office by September. And I think that's why I wanted to do this now, because this actually still has some relevance to today, because they want him out by September. That's only 2 months from now.
So that's what the Simpson episode said, that it was August.
That's right.
That Trump will be out of office by August.
That's right. And a lot of people predicting the future.
I base all my thoughts on The Simpsons.
Who wouldn't? So it seems that the Biotechnology Innovation Organization, we're going to call them BIO from now on. That's the Biotechnology Innovation Organization, whose members include Pfizer, Merck, Novavax, Vaxcyte, and hundreds of biotech firms that profit from regulatory insulation, has a mole. This article critiques the documented lobbying behavior of the trade group BIO, not the internal operations or clinical data of its member corporations. Okay, we get it. So when the nation's leading pharmaceutical trade group convenes a closed-door strategy meeting and openly discusses the need to go to the Hill and lobby that it is time for RFK Jr. to go, the issue is no longer public health policy. It is democratic integrity. According to the apparent leaked minutes, verified by the name of the creator of the file, on April 3rd, 2025, BIO held a Vaccine Policy Steering Committee, VPSC, meeting whose internal summary, soon to be publicly available thanks to whistleblowers, revealed a campaign of strategic deception, institutional capture, and psychological warfare, and exposes a campaign of institutional deception, investor protection, and coordinated sabotage of the Maha Reform platform. According to the leaked documents titled Bio Vaccine Policy Steering Committee, April 3rd, 2025, BIO has committed $2 million, half of its cash reserve, to counter what it calls the threat posed by Kennedy's rise. But this is no ordinary PR push. It is a multi-pronged campaign designed to deceive the public, silence dissent, and preserve industry dominance through influence operations masquerading as science. Now, this is where it gets really good. So that basically set the stage for you guys. And I highlighted a few things. You guys, if you're looking at it on screen, you'll see some of the things I highlighted because I thought they were interesting. The plot. What'd you say?
It's very red.
The ones that I thought were important were in red, yes. The plot exposed. The document opens with a blunt political calculation. Kennedy's candidacy threatens investor confidence, regulatory predictability, and the long-term viability of the vaccine business. BIO leadership is the apparent leaked document states plainly it's time to go to the Hill and lobby that it is time for RFK Jr. to go. To achieve this, according to the document, BIO intends to deploy surrogates across the political spectrum, co-opt conservative influencers, and bypass direct engagement with the Kennedy campaign altogether. Among the figures, this is interesting, named as potential allies in this covert effort, Dr. Oz, who's actually the head of CMS, who works under RFK, interesting, former Senator Richard Burr, and actually I discussed this a bit on Frank's show last week. Well, when you guys are hearing
like
this.
Dr. Oz?
Yes.
Like the TV Dr. Oz?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
Senator Bill Cassidy, and if you remember from the Senate hearings, Bill Cassidy was one of the big voices that was like giving RFK a lot of pushback because he's a doctor and he knows everything about medicine. Wow. And the American Enterprise Institute. Now, I highlighted this in red. These individuals and institutions, the memo suggests, can provide a veneer of bipartisan legitimacy to BIO's core aim, which is to neutralize without ever addressing the substance of his critique. This is what is happening here, right? We're not talking about somehow, your vaccine is safe and effective. Well, then all you should need, if you have a safe and effective anything, all you should need is the facts and the testing and the data behind how safe and effective it is, and that settles all the debate. But here they're literally admitting, we're not going to address the substance of his critique. We're going to use political influence, and we're going to use people on both sides of the political aisle, right? Because in this country, we pretend that we have a two-party system. It's Democrats and Republicans. It's bipartisan. No, it's bullshit. It's one party. And they're going to use this sort of pretend that this like cosplay of bipartisanship in order to try and take down Kennedy without ever addressing his actual critique of the science of vaccines. Interesting, right?
And I mean, Dr. Oz has a huge platform, like show-wise, TV-wise. People watch him a lot. Yeah,
and now he's the head of CMS, under Kennedy. But his public. I think you're right, Dar. I mean, his public presence might rival RFK's.
Like, well, he has a show. Like think about how many.
I don't know if he's doing the show anymore because now he's not because now he's in government. I think so. I don't think he's allowed to do that. But he's had a show for how long?
Yeah,
for years.
Yeah, I used to watch it.
Yeah. I mean, I used to watch it, and then as I started to really understand things, I also always thought about Dr. Oz that he went whenever way the wind blew. Like one day he was pro this, next day he was against that. It was, I
didn't have this brain when I watched him.
Exactly.
I was very young. Yeah.
And I think, Daryl, and I think that's why they're using someone like Dr. Oz, because he has a whole bunch of people who are just lay people who aren't educated in the field. And so they're going to believe whatever he says. And if he comes out against RFK stance on vaccines, well, doesn't that lend it a lot more credibility? So follow the money, Dave. This is your favorite phrase now, right? The most revealing detail is that $2 million, precisely half of BIO's entire $4 million reserve, has been allocated to vaccine communication, specifically a DC area pilot campaign called Why We Vaccinate. Check this out. The purpose is not to educate, but to behavioral influence, to combine, inspire, and frighten tactics in order to manipulate public sentiment and legislate behavior. Whew. Internal documents state clearly that the campaign's goal is to appeal to the movable middle using emotionally charged messaging, capitalizing on fear messaging tied to national security, workforce resilience, and economic productivity. Why such an aggressive push? Because as VaxSite COO Jim Wassel apparently warned, investors have stated that they are leaving until the next data readout, citing Kennedy's unpredictability as a systemic disruption to the vaccine capital pipeline. I mean, basically saying, well, vaccines just get a green light no matter what, right? Like Kennedy said in that interview we watched last week, they just get a rubber stamp. So now Kennedy asking for things to be tested properly with placebos and all this stuff, that's going to slow down our money pipeline. What's amazing is you'll find as we go through this article, nobody even mentions health. There's no mention of health in here. This is just a business. You are pretty common. You are a number on a ledger. So the next time you're going to bat defending whatever medicine or whatever, just remember, they don't look at you as a person. They look at you as a number on a ledger. And if you're injured or something happens to you, they don't care. They don't care. So given Kennedy's demand for restored liability, long-term data, and placebo-controlled trials, BIO appears to view Kennedy's proposal as a threat to the entire shortcut pipeline BIO built under EUA conditions. Rush those vaccines to market, everybody. BIO's fear is not scientific opposition. It's that Kennedy's regulatory scrutiny may render their current profit model obsolete. According to the document summary, one participant expressed concerns that investors are sitting on the sidelines for the next 6 to 9 months. Capital has fled the vaccine sector, and Kennedy's reform agenda is making it difficult for pharma execs to assure investors that the regulatory terrain remains exploitable. It's really unbelievable.
They haven't made enough money. Like, can they not?
No,
can they not just retire a bit?
There's never enough money for these people. I know. As a reminder, these statements are drawn from the contents of the internal memo that has not been publicly confirmed, but by the named individuals, interpretations remain provisional. That's fair. But also, no one has come out, since this came out, no one has come out to refute it either. So if this were not true, they would have come out screaming and yelling. The VPSC meeting wasn't just about funding, it was also about redefining language. BIO officials emphasized the shift in framing from protect, defend, and maintain to streamline, optimize, and enhance. But these are not reforms. They read as an attempt at narrative laundering operations. When BIO says efficiency, it means fewer safety requirements. When it says resilience, it means customer obedience, not protection from harms from vaccines held to the Kennedy bar. And when it says transparency, it means secretive PR managed theater, not data disclosure. This is rhetorical mimicry, a deliberate tactic to adopt the aesthetic of reform while preserving the machinery of capture. This differs from standard PR in that it aims to overwrite language itself. Transparency is redefined as brand polish, efficiency as exempt from oversight, a deliberate attempt to steal the language of biomedical reform while ensuring that no structural reform ever occurs and that no one notices the difference, right? We're going to do all these things. We're going to improve all these areas. But in the end, we still want this product to get to market the same way it always did. But don't worry, we're going to have all these additional layers of safety built in. Divide and conquer. Biostrategic calculus is unmistakable. Avoid confronting RFK Jr. head on, and instead flood the surrounding narrative space with surrogate voices engineered to appear neutral, authoritative, and scientifically grounded. The April 3rd memo explicitly recommends targeting McCary, who is the head of the FDA, and Trump's insiders versus RFK Jr., signaling an intention to bypass public debate in favor of internal triangulation. So we're not going to win in the public because, as I just told you last week, 60% of American adults want a new vaccine schedule because, like you said, Daryl.
Yeah, you can't go head on with RFK. They're not going to win because he's just going to throw science. So what they're going to do is confuse the public, which is what they do with everything else.
Mm-hmm. And here they're saying they want to find people that are more sympathetic in the Trump administration, right? Some of the leftovers from the Biden administration, maybe, and try to get, RFK from behind the scenes. Within this framework, Dr. Oz is floated as a potential public health voice of reason within the White House, praised for his healthcare credentials and presumed credibility with conservative audiences. I think they're overestimating Dr. Oz's credibility. That's just my personal opinion, though. All right, last couple of things. While no specific action is proposed, the implication is clear. The document suggests Bio may aim to elevate Oz as a counterweight to Kennedy's reform agenda by leveraging his media fluency and perceived scientific legitimacy to repackage industry talking points under the guise of responsible governance. This is not policy, it's psychological misdirection through proxy, as the document implies. The document also names AEI as a trusted conduit for pro-vaccine messaging, with Scott Gottlieb calling the MAHA movement a cover for anti-vaccine campaign. Scott Gottlieb was the head of the FDA. Now he sits on Pfizer's board. Yeah, that guy's super credible. It floats Dr. Oz as a possible...
But also, what is... Sorry to cut you. What is wrong with an anti-vaccine campaign?
Yeah, I mean...
what is wrong with being anti-vaccine? What's wrong with that?
It's a great point, Daryl. I don't find anything wrong with it, but I think the term carries a public connotation, maybe, and that's what they're relying on, right? It seems like it's a negative. I agree with you. Why
if you look at just look at the graphs that we have gone through in part one, what I don't understand, what the point is with that, obviously I understand, but you know what I mean? Yeah. And what are they saying? How are they saying that Dr. Oz is going to achieve this? Because it looks like they're appointing him as the main person of reason and voice if he doesn't have a show or whatnot.
Well, he's the head of, I can't remember what CMS stands for. I have to forgive me. I think it's something medical service, something. But so I think this is why I also wanted to do this story today with you, because what we can do from this point on, this audience and you and I, is we can really start to pay attention to if all of a sudden the media starts really covering Dr. Oz more than they cover RFK, right? We can start to notice if this plan is being put in place. I think what they're saying is Dr. Oz, because Dr. Oz is so, yeah, but I think also he's, let's just use the word. I think you can manipulate Dr. Oz personally. I just think that. So maybe they're thinking we can get to Dr. Oz to be sympathetic to our messaging. And then we can, with all of our money in media, we can help elevate Dr. Oz above RFK, and the public will have more trust in Dr. Oz because he sounds much more rational, and RFK is just some crazy anti-vaxxer. That's what I think is happening. Well,
especially when you push a narrative like that, right? Especially which you can do with media. So,
yeah. So, and then this other highlighted section, nowhere in the document is there any serious discussion of scientific debate. Nowhere is there a plan to confront Kennedy's actual policy proposals, such as the Kennedy Bar, which calls for preclinical safety testing, raw data publication, long-term health tracking, and restoration of manufacturer liability. God forbid that we treat these things just like every other drug that comes to market. You must do safety testing, publish your data, have long-term safety tracking, and liability if something goes wrong, which vaccines have none of. So God forbid, right? Instead, Bio's plan is to erase Kennedy's credibility through managed optics and surrogate deployment, which is Dr. Oz. Let's see. I won't go through everything. One quote in particular encapsulates the panic. They keep moving the goalpost on vaccines, and this is simply not true. The goalposts aren't moving. For the first time in decades, they are being reinstalled on the actual playing field of science, safety, and consent. And that's what these people are complaining about. Oh, now all of a sudden we have to do all this stuff for vaccines. And it's like, no, you were supposed to be doing this all along.
Yeah, it's literally your job.
Yes, you failed public health.
It's literally your job to test for safety. No. Yeah, exactly. Oh, we can't have to work now.
Look at them playing the victim, Daryl, right?
Yeah. And
Incredible.
Here's the thing too. I do, maybe I'm wrong here, but I feel like if a certain vaccine was proven effective, that he would say, okay, great, push that one, and then one is not okay, let go of that one. It's not a movement of let's remove everything and not address it. It's a movement of let's test all of them, let's see which ones work, which ones don't. That's
crazy, Daryl. You're talking crazy.
So it's not even to be titled anti-vax. It's
pro-science.
Pro-science, or just getting to the bottom, like getting the truth and doing what you're supposed to do before you just give children fucking 80 vaccines.
Unbelievable. So let's close out with this. The global implications. Bio's apparent plot is not isolated. If the leak is genuine, and it appears to so far to be, it aligns with other suppression architectures, ESG-based financial pressure on corporations to support mandates, the World Health Organization treaty harmonization that threatens sovereign health policy, and social media and AI systems that algorithmically suppress dissent. We all saw that during COVID. The April 3rd memo must be read not just as a domestic policy act, but as a nodal maneuver in a transnational agenda to control the terms of health, science, and consent. One AEI-aligned strategist even claimed that MAHA was a cover for an anti-vaccine campaign, a telling attempt to delegitimize not arguments, but their right to exist. Pro-science is now anti-vaccine.
I just said, yeah.
Yeah, and it has been for some time. This isn't a war against misinformation. It's a war against public transparency in science. Bio fears Kennedy, not because he is wrong, but because he has exposed the scaffolding of a regime that substitutes marketing for medicine. He has publicly pledged reforms that, if enacted, could disrupt the financial and regulatory relationships this memo appears to protect by requiring the firms actually follow the rules. The $2 million smear campaign is not a show of strength. It is a confession of institutional fragility, a desperate gambit to buy time before the public finally demands truth. This is not a referendum on Kennedy. It is a referendum on whether regulatory science will serve the people or the shareholders. And this time, the people have the receipts. And here's the document right here if anybody wants to read it.
Yeah, and just for those who don't know, I didn't know, but I asked you this: what's the Brownstone Institute? Because where this kind of information comes from is important, right? Because then there could be just like personal opinion there.
Sure.
So if you just do a quick Google, the organization promotes human rights, open dialogue, and the prevention of public health crises by analyzing philosophy, economics, and more.
I'll tell you. I first discovered them.
Right?
Yeah. Does it say when it was founded, Daryl? Because I didn't find them until 2020. And I'll tell you, they were so good on COVID. They published so many dissenting voices. It was incredible. And that's when I became a lover of that publication. I think they have some incredible writers, and I just love their philosophy. I think Jeffrey Tucker is the founder, I think. Just a guy that seemed to want to get to the truth. So, so many things in that. It reminds me of the conversation that we were having in part one, and that Daryl, you and I were having, privately, just about, how powerful public messaging is when it comes to the interactions you have in your life with people, and, how to maneuver these waters, because they're so emotionally charged. It's like, I don't think people really remember. I remember, because I don't forget those things, because I think they're lessons. Like, I'm a student of history, because those lessons, I think, really help you understand how to move forward. But I really wonder, question yourself, take a moment when you're listening to this episode or when it's done, ask yourself if you really remember what it was like during COVID. And I don't mean like the inconvenience of masks or the obnoxious lockdowns, or those were clearly serious violations of liberty. And in some cases, they were downright dangerous for people. And suicides were up, and alcoholism and spousal abuse and child abuse and all those things accelerated because these fucking public health officials couldn't see past the noses on their faces. But
because they had masks on.
I always leave it to Daryl to take me literally. But she also calms me down. She knows when I'm starting to rev up, and she's just like, "Oh, I'm going to bring Jay back down with a joke." So we're a good team. But I just think I think it's really important to remember how people acted in such an irrational manner, and how much they were able to, as Daryl so perfectly put it, parrot talking points without ever actually. I know you don't understand what you're saying to me. Like, this is in my mind, I'm talking to somebody. I'm like, I know you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm going to try to be compassionate to you because I know you have no idea what you're talking about. My goal is not to embarrass you, but if I engage you in a conversation, a real conversation about this, you're going to be embarrassed because you don't have facts on your side. You have no idea what you're talking about. I can see you reading the CNN headlines to me. And that's not real.
I don't even know if they would be embarrassed. I think they would just be emotional. I don't think they would be able to, not all, but like if I'm thinking of a specific type, and not trying to generalize, but like it would just become emotional. There wouldn't be a chance for you to try and make them understand. It would be a closed door and I'm not listening to you, right?
Yeah.
I will always remember the grocery store tellers
behind the plexiglass.
They were, and praise to you for working during that time as a grocery store teller, but they were savages to me. Absolute savages. Oh, they did not like me, and I was always so smiley and happy. And how are you today?
But that's a great point too, Daryl. Right?
I wasn't wearing a mask most of the time.
Right. And didn't empower people. So this is the other human condition, is that I think that we saw people who didn't ever have power in their lives all of a sudden have power. And boy, you really can tell what a person, who they are when they are given power and how they use it.
I don't think I ever feared anybody so much in my life. With them, they'll get you. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I guess we were just setting the stage here for what's to come, and maybe this will be the end of it. Maybe because because of this leak, and now it's public that this is going on in the background. Maybe they'll be forced to change their plan, and they won't be able to use Dr. Oz, and they won't be able to, I'm sure they're going to still try to get Kennedy out. Don't get me wrong, but they may have to go about it in a different way. Yeah. But just something to keep in mind. And also when you're out there and you're listening to this and you're feeling frustrated by RFK because he's not doing this or he's not doing that, remember the things that he is doing. And remember, again, and I know this actually personally, and I can't remember. We did talk about it on this show. I know the name, I believe, of the person who is actually sort of, what's the word? Is sort of obstructing maybe for RFK a little bit. And there have been some good people that I've known that would have been in positions of somewhat authority at HHS, at least in terms of public messaging. And they were basically chased out of the building by this person. This is a person that has known RFK for a very long time. So I don't even trust all the people in RFK's circle. So you have to understand, even if the man himself still has all the integrity, which I believe that he does, I have no indication that he doesn't. Remember that you are not an island. And if I was in that position, how could I would have to be so egotistical to think that I could know everything, right? Not possible. So I would have to rely on people that I trusted. Now, I would bring in people that I trusted, but you need so many people to manage that department that you can't know everybody that you're trusting. You're going to have to defer to other people. And so you are inherently going to have people in your orbit who are not trustworthy, and you have no idea who they are.
Yeah, you're on an island and there's water around you, and it's either sharks or dolphins swimming with you.
Ooh.
You don't know. That's the image I got.
You just see a fin.
You just don't know. You don't know. Yeah.
Right. And so I don't envy his position. I wouldn't want that position. I'm glad that somebody wants to do it, because this is a mess that, again, has been happening. This is a mess that's been half a century old. And to think
I
that,
think you'd be excellent at that job, actually.
oh God, no.
I don't know if you're nice enough. in the sense where you would just fucking tell them off.
Well,
right?
that's true. I wouldn't have gotten past the confirmation hearing.
Like the politicalness that you have to be, right?
Yeah. I'm not as good at that. Like I said, that hearing, the RFK hearing was fun. If it was my Senate confirmation hearing, that would be must-see TV.
Yeah, you would need an earpiece where I can tell you jokes every now and then to calm you down. Yeah,
definitely. Daryl, she can see me getting red and sweating.
Oh, got a cartoon joke. Yeah,
got to jump in here. Yeah. Daryl's on the Stairmaster while I'm getting grilled by the Senate committee.
That's exactly how it goes. Yeah.
So I guess that's it, Daryl. I mean, I thought that was really worth we're thinking about what to do today, and I don't know, the timing of it just seemed relevant, and given what's going on, and RFK's been in the news, and the September thing, who knows what's going to happen by then. I see positive changes happening, but I just want to everybody keep your head on a swivel, and really try to remember that even just having these conversations, that Overton window is wide open right now. And the fact that we're able in the US to say 60% of adults want to have a conversation about a new vaccine schedule, that is a massive victory that I just think that we're overlooking. And so just hang in there. Remember that everything you hear doesn't need to be reacted to right away. That's not mandatory. Think about it. Take a moment, take a breath. If you guys want to hear, anything comes up and you want to hear what we have to say about it, let us know, because we love, being able to parse through some of this stuff together and then bring it to you guys, because I think in the end, it's these conversations that really matter. And it helps, it helps ground me, because
it helps I would say us, but it helps me as well, just to kind of get my thoughts out of my brain, and talk with somebody else who aligns.
Yeah. That's
because
really
sometimes I feel like I'm going crazy, to be honest with you, because everybody around me is, for the most part, the conversations I have, like, I can't have fully, because I would probably, I don't know that it would be well received.
And for you, was it similar during COVID as well? I mean, I knew you through most of COVID, but not at the very beginning.
I couldn't even love my brother. By the way, shout out to my brother. He just passed basic training. Good job.
Nice job. Nice job, Zach.
But on that note, in the early on COVID time, I couldn't even talk to him, because he was his dad, military, very pro-vaccine. Everybody was getting their vaccination.
Following orders.
Yeah, following orders. Follow your orders. That's just, you don't question it. And that's the foundation of the military. Do the mission. And my brother was on that as well. So like for a year and a half, we barely talked, and he was like 20. So he's feisty little bugger. So there was not a lot of conversation.
I wonder where he gets that from.
I don't know.
No idea. I'm sure you were not feisty at all at 20.
My mother. But which I got as well. But he came around, but there was huge division. And not by, this is what saddens me. And I don't know if this is like this for everybody, or if it's just the type of person perhaps that I am, but the division was not there because of me. And I know that in my heart, because I can always have a conversation with someone, even though they upset me, or even if they can push me to like being more on the emotional side, I will always eventually dial it back down, or take a moment and converse again.
Yeah.
But the division that I got was never because I decided to bring it to that point. It was always like, hey, let's let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And same with my brother. I couldn't even fucking get through to him. He would just go from 0 to 100 in a minute and send me 15 fucking messages and memes and reels. And I'm
text
just like,
is not the way to have those conversations.
no, of course
either.
not. But even in the real world as well.
Yeah.
The division that occurred was because I got a door shut in my face, not because I was unkind or unreceptive to their thought processes. It was more like getting them to question and think. And I even wasn't sure. I didn't know. That was the beginning of my, I want to say, awakening, as cliche as that sounds. I wasn't sure, but I also wasn't in line. I was like, something's not right here. I could feel it in my gut.
I just, and I'm not saying this because I'm defending my show partner here, but there has never been a time, and our interactions go back, 5 years when I was working at the hospital, and I have, vivid recollections of conversations we had, and Daryl always came to me with questions that were truly genuine and never with an attitude. It was always the most like open-minded, even though I knew that some questions she was asking, she was already on the other side of the fence, or just like was like unsure, like genuinely unsure, or even potentially on another side. But she was like, oh, okay, well, this person seems to know what they're talking about. Well, at least he talks a lot, so let's see what he has to say. And it was always that approach, and I appreciate that from you, and I appreciate that from anybody who comes at me with, when I can sense an authentic curiosity immediately. And I can also sense like fishing for a fight. And that is never happened with you, because you're just one of those people. And I'm the same way. I can make a comment and you may read it as fishing for a fight, but I promise you, I'm not doing that. Like I really want to try to understand things. I don't even waste my time. If it's something that I know it's going to cause a fight, I will avoid that at all costs. I just don't want to waste my energy on it.
Yeah.
So always, Daryl.
Like 2 occasions that happened.
But yeah, I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule, but there's never been an interaction between us. So when you say that, I fully support that. In all my interactions with you, it's always been like, you're always capable of having a conversation. And that is a testament to you, because not everybody is capable of being able to step outside their belief system to have a conversation, even if it doesn't mean that they change their mind, but just having the conversation. Not everybody can do that. And so, that's been my experience with you. And I think that's why this show works so well, because, we can get into some really hairy topics and like navigate them as best we can.
I don't think I like that expression.
I'm sorry. I'll edit that out. No, I won't. But yeah, so I think I think we'll just kind of close it there. You have any other final thoughts, Daryl, or you feel you got it all off your chest?
I think so.
Okay.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk and my therapy session.
Yeah. Well, we'll do it again next week. But for now, you guys, let us know if you have any thoughts on this article. If you watch the Tucker interview, all that stuff will be linked below. And until then, we'll see you next time.
Ciao for now.